Hello. I am sick, so I'll start with that. Oh dear. I'll try not to be coughing throughout the whole thing. I Now what's happened is I've just realised this is the first time I've spoken out loud all day. So I thought, because I'm feeling slightly better than I was when I woke up, that maybe I'll be okay. But then I just realised me saying hello is the first thing I've said, because Richard Parker, he's asleep downstairs at the end of the bed. He was looking at me very confused this morning, which shows that I must not look like me. Maybe that's how bad I feel. This is available to watch on Spotify and YouTube, and usually I'd encourage that, but probably not this week. I will say this. I actually don't mind that I'm sick. And that's because I've been really worried that I was going to be ill for the last 2 months, I'd say. In November, I recorded my tour show that I've been doing for the last 2 years. I recorded it in London, and I could feel myself getting a little bit ill as that was coming up. And I thought that will be typical, that on the day we're filming it and I feel ill. I was also filming something for TV that same day, so I thought that would be even more typical, that I look horrendous. And neither have come out yet, so I've not actually seen them, so maybe I will look pretty bad. But I managed to hold on. And then I went to Canada on tour, and because that was a lot of airports, being on planes, being in hotels, I thought I was going to get sick then, and I was very extra vigilant about. Obviously, I always wash my hands, but just more often than usual, even just washing my hands and making sure that I had antibacterial gel if ever I even. I think did I speak about this last week? My routine when I was traveling around, being just at Starbucks at different airports, was where I had breakfast. And I would just kept using the gel. I must have looked like I had sort of like extreme OCD, but I managed to stay well, which was an accomplishment, because all the traveling as well, being tired, being like it had all the ingredients for me to get sick, but it didn't happen. And then I got back to London. I think it was 2 or 3 days before Christmas. Yeah, I think my last show was in Calgary. I think that was the 21st. So anyway, I got back a few days before Christmas, and I thought, this is going to be when it gets me, because I finally stopped. My body knows that, and I'm going to be punished for it. That's what I thought was going to happen. Again, it didn't. And I was okay throughout Christmas. I was okay throughout New Year. And usually that is the time that it really gets me, that everything stops. Maybe that's common for everybody. I'm just going to have a sip. This is Sip Happens. I should have a sip. I've got 2 drinks on the go here. I've got a tea, and the one I'm about to take a sip of is liquid IV. So it's like powder hydration that I put in a water, which actually tastes nice, because often they taste awful. Anyway, I'm going to do the classic, move the microphone away from the, from my mouth. Does that sound better? Probably sounds the same, but maybe it feels a bit better. Anyway, I then, last weekend, went to Parcs with my family. So that's, I would say, a tradition, but we used to go when I was younger to Parcs. We hadn't been for years. Then we went last year, 2025, January 2025, we went for my dad's birthday. So now maybe it's become a tradition. So we went to Parcs in Woburn, and I thought I was going to be sick for that. And again, it didn't come. So the reason I'm happy about it is, and I will go back to Parcs, not well, like, yes, I will go back as in to visit, but I mean, I will go back to the topic. Anyway, the reason I'm happy about it is because I go skiing next week. This sounds like I'm just remembered. These are 3 trips I've just spoken about. 2 of them are for work. Although it's lovely. The skiing trip is, I did speak about this. It's, you do a show at the end, a comedy show. So it's me and a few British comedians. And you go out there, but it's in Les Gets, which I keep saying is in France. But what if that's... I think we fly into Geneva. But I imagine it's the mountains. Then maybe they'll cross the border. I really don't know. Do you ever do this when you're on holiday? I really hate that I do this. I sometimes I'm like on a beach or something. Maybe I'm in Greece, or I think when I was away in Portugal, I was like, I don't actually exactly know where I am on the map, which is so bad, isn't it? Let me have a look. Les Gets. There must be someone called that as well. France. Les Gets, France. Where am I going to be? I wouldn't usually talk about where I'm going to be going before I go there. Oh yeah, it's quite close to Geneva. Geneva must be the closest airport. But because it's available on the internet, because it's a comedy show. The show's not available on the internet, but the information is. That's why I'm... so we are on the border of Switzerland and Italy. So it's right on the east east of France. Ooh, nice. Yeah, that's where I'm going. So that's next week. I wouldn't usually say where I'm going because you never know if there's sort of... I know 99.9, I hope, % of you are normal, but you do get some mental nutters, so you never know if you're going to say that you're going somewhere and then someone's going to book a trip just to be there. Because I could make like a friend when I'm away and think the whole thing was innocent. Just bump into somebody like at a bar or just down the street, or someone asks, do you know how to get to, I don't know, this restaurant? And I say no, and they go, oh, you're English, and we start chatting. And I don't know the whole time that they were honing in, listening, waiting for me to slip up to say where I'm going to be. Obviously, I do have a website which is full of locations and dates of places I am going to be. But I mean, when it's my guard's down, if you're just away somewhere. Now, maybe I'm flattering myself, although there are some people that do send me some quite insane messages. I would talk about it on here, but they probably listen. There's more than one, so if you feel like maybe I'm talking about you, maybe I'm not, maybe I'm talking about someone else. Most of you are nice. I do get nice messages, just to be clear. As I say, 99% of the messages I get are really nice, and I have a good conversation with people. But some are. If we ever meet in person, and I know that you're safe, ask and I'll tell you. Anyway, I'm glad I'm ill now because I go skiing next week, and hopefully I'll be better by then. I should be. I wish I was better at switching off when I am ill. You sort of picture being on the sofa those days and just watching films, but ultimately I just get a bit irritable if I do that, and I feel guilty even just for sitting around, and just like my body should be moving. So I've been reading, I've been watching a bit of TV, but I'm not that good at switching off. Centre Parcs, I should say, for people who aren't from the UK or I guess the Netherlands, that's where Centre Parcs is from, you might not know what it is. It's like they're all in forests, and then it's like a small community within the forest. People don't actually live there, but you go and stay there. But there's set times. You can either do Friday to Monday or Monday to Thursday. So there's a changeover days. and they're like small cabins or lodges in the woods, and then it's like a big swimming pool with water slides and rapids, and then there's restaurants, and everyone has a bike, so you can cycle around it. And so there's all like bike parks for you to lock your bike up. And we did shuffleboard. Shuffleboard is something that I love, but it's not that easy to find around the UK. We did it when we were in Canada, and I love it. If you don't know what it is, it's like, because a surprising amount of people don't know what it is. It's almost like curling, but just on a table. Curling, you know, the ice Winter Olympic sport, but you don't do any of the brushing. They're like small pucks, they call them, and you slide them along a long wooden polished table, but the table is like dusted with something that looks like parmesan, but it's not. Like grated parmesan, but it's not. I don't actually know what it is, but the table's long, so you have 4 pucks. So maybe it's 2 on 2, for example. Each team you'd take it in turns to slide yours down, and then or do you battle? Oh yeah, you battle, wouldn't you? So would you? Yeah. Sorry, you battle. So say it was 4 of you playing. Have I over confused this? I've confused myself, and I know what I'm talking about. Okay, say it's just 2 people are playing. You each get 4 pucks each, and you take it in turns to slide the puck down the other end of the table. Now, about 2/3 of the way down the table, the number 1 is written there between 2 lines. Then as you get further down, that becomes 2, but the gap gets smaller. 3, 4, I think up to 5, and 5 is only a few inches long at the end of the table. So if you can end in that, you get the most points. But as you take it in turns, you can also knock each other's pucks out the way. It's great fun. It's really, what would I say? How would I describe it? Sort of slightly, I want to say calming, just the way you slide it down there. It's really, really cool to play, but not that common in the UK. You probably have to go to like designated places, I think. Well, this was, they'd called themselves, the brand was Shuffle, SHUFL. In case you just were just suddenly worried I was about to spell out the word shuffle. I wasn't. The brand name they've come up with. So it's like an electronic one where there's clearly cameras on the table that keep, usually you would just slide it along and you'd keep score yourself. But with this, the computer does it for you. What was I about to say? They should do it. I don't know if they do it competitively, but they should do, because I think I'd get good at it. That's the sort of the one, if they had that in the Summer Olympics, God, that would be good. Because I do like it when they have a mixture of sports where, I need to take another sip. A mixture of sports where some of them are like the 100-meter sprint or the swimming or the long jump. You have to be like a certain physical, for some reason I want to use the word specimen. Anyway, I wish I didn't. I like it. They should have it where it is chess as well. Just so it's all, what country's got the best of everything? Brains and brawn. I feel like I need to go and, I don't want to be sniffing on the podcast, so I might just go and blow my nose. I feel like I need to do that and then reset. I'm trying my best here. Because I've just started the podcast a few weeks ago, obviously I did not want to miss an episode so early on, so that's why I'm doing this when I'm ill. So if this is the first one you're listening to, I promise it is usually only slightly better than this. I've got a bit more sort of idea of what I'm talking about, and there are digressions, usually anyway. I went on one slide in Centre Parcs, and it was crazy. You know, you usually go to the top of a water slide and there's someone manning it. Well, this one didn't have that, and everyone was turning right to go to one particular slide that people got on a raft and went on. Then there was another one sort of hidden around the back. So I said to my nephew, I wanted to go on there. Should we go on it? And then as we were queuing up, I was thinking, no one's here working this. It's just a green light and a red light telling you where to go. I was like, how bad is it going to be? Also, everybody was silent. They would throw themselves down the slide. Then you wouldn't hear them saying anything. So I said to him, oh, do you want me to just go first? And I can sort of let you know if it's okay. I can shout and say, it's fine. Anyway, he didn't hear me saying, it's fine. He heard me screaming because it's pitch black. And you just go down, and suddenly I realised, because it's just a green light and a red light, which I assume is letting you know when the bottom's cleared, but it could malfunction. It was pitch black, and I was going so fast down this small tube with all these quick, fast turns. And I was thinking, if anybody gets stuck, if I get stuck, someone would just come flying into the back of you. I had no idea at any turn if I was just going to hit into someone. It was crazy. So, and then when I got to the bottom, there was just one lady waiting there. She didn't work there. She was waiting for someone else who was probably in the queue as well. Well, she just heard me sort of shouting and screaming. Then you get to the bottom. Because I went first, there was no one waiting for me. So it just looked like I was on my own. But God, blimey, that was, that was a lot worse than I thought. But that was good fun. So, sorry, I'm 15 minutes in. Ideally with this, I would never have breaks. But hopefully you'll forgive me that today maybe I just need a little break for everyone's sake as well, I think. Because I'm going to go and blow my nose, reset, get my energy back, and then we'll come back in and I'll talk to you some more about Centre Parcs, a game we played at Centre Parcs. Hopefully I'll remember this. It's called, I'll tell you now in case I do forget, in which case comment to let me know, and I'll talk about it next week. But I'll try and remember. It's called Chameleon. Anyway, back in a bit. Okay, that was quicker than I thought. I was only gone for about 30 seconds or so. Obviously for you, it was no seconds, but for me, it was about 30. Chameleon, I have remembered as well. So this game, it seems to be a, what would be the word? Trend? Yeah, I'll go with that. Of new games, which are, they're not board games, they're not card games in that they're from a usual deck. But I know, like, Monopoly now does Monopoly Deal, which is very good, by the way. You know, stuff like Uno, maybe, I guess you would say, is in this category. But this one's a bit different. No, Uno's not in that. They're like games that could be board games, but they've managed just to get it down into a single deck. Anyway, this one's called Chameleon. And if you don't know it, what happens is, now, it's more complicated than shuffleboard. And we all know how that went. So I will do my best to describe this. And also, remember I'm ill. I'm just going to take one more sip. Chameleon is a game where we did it in pairs. So what happens is, there's a category, a different category, each time gets put into the middle of the table. Say, for example, one of the ones we did was, it was basically, I can't remember exactly what it was called. It was basically loud things. So on this card is written stuff like explosion, ambulance, helicopter, thunder. There's, I don't know how many, maybe 16 or so written out on this card. Every pair gets coordinates to say basically which word it is that you're doing. So say, for example, it was ambulance, and I'll say that because it was. Everybody except for one pair, or it can be an individual, they can all see the coordinates and they can see what the word is. But one pair or team or individual, depends how you play, they just get a card and theirs says, you are the chameleon. But nobody sees anyone else's card. So nobody knows who's the chameleon and nobody knows who isn't. So you all take it in turns just to use one word to describe what the answer is. So everyone else has to figure out, do they actually know? Or are they, I guess, like blagging? So you want to, what you need to do then is you need to say something that is similar or does sort of describe what the word is, but not enough that you would let the chameleon know. So if it was, well, it was ambulance. So you could maybe, I don't know what, I'll give you an example of what my dad did. On one round, my dad said morning. Now, everyone who wasn't the chameleon, we all thought he meant morning with a U, as in ambulance, maybe someone's passed away, so you're mourning. We were like, fair, okay, yeah, we did the work enough that we were like, yeah, okay, maybe he doesn't know what it is. And then, but also one of the answers could be, I can't remember, but it could be something like alarm. So some of us might go, well, what if he just means alarm? But is that a bit too on the nose? So we're not sure. Everyone's going around trying to gather information. Then the next time it comes around, he says 27. Now everyone's looking at each other because the way he's now playing it is we've sort of got no idea what he's talking about. But because he's so confident with it, and it's nothing close to sort of describe ambulance, we're like, well, what could that even mean? So we're very confused. Anyway, a few people did guess that him and my mum were the chameleons, but they weren't. My dad's brain worked in this way, where he said morning, but he didn't mean morning with a U. He meant morning as in time of day, because ambulance starts with AM. Then he meant 27 because in the UK, for an ambulance, you would call 999. And 9 plus 9 plus 9 was 27. So I think he was probably stretching it a little bit too far when nobody had any idea what he was talking about. Let me know if you agree with my dad or not there. By the way, people have been very nice at getting in touch. So I want to keep on top of all the comments and be able to chat with you. So if you're listening on Spotify, comment there. There's a comment section and we can chat. Otherwise, anywhere else, I think if you come over to YouTube to comment, I can then there'll be the two that I can keep on top of. Otherwise, it gets a bit too all over the place. So also, if you don't have Spotify nor a YouTube account, I guess DM me on Instagram, or there is an email, but I was just using that to set up the whole platform. That's siphappenswithjake@gmail.com. But yeah, YouTube and Spotify will be the easiest ways, because you might get lost in DMs on Instagram, and I'll check those too, because I want to say this enough to let you know that I'm grateful, but not too much that you get bored of me saying it. The response has been so cool to this. The fact that it's just me talking on my own, I had no idea how it was going to be received. I had no idea if anybody was going to listen, but it's been so nice. Now, I know I've asked people to leave reviews and stuff on wherever you listen, but what I didn't realise is I can only see that if you're if you're in the UK when you do it. So there might be people leaving reviews of this in another country that I don't think I can see. But please keep doing it. If you do, I don't fully understand how the podcast algorithm works, but it just helps me out. If you leave a review, just hit the 5 stars, ideally, obviously 5. And if you leave a comment, it gives it more of a push. And so whether it's Spotify or Apple, or if you like this on YouTube, it means the algorithm knows, oh, this is something that people are liking and enjoying. Maybe we should push it out more to others. But then again, if nobody knew if somebody who didn't know who I was, if they listened to this, maybe they'd just think I was mad, or maybe they'd go, oh, I'll just catch up with this stranger once a week. Anyway, thank you for that. Actually, I feel a bit embarrassed about this next thing. Let me take one sip, then I'll tell you. Somebody messaged to ask how they could, they basically wanted to give me like a tip, which is something that people can do on YouTube, I think. I can't quite figure it out. Anyway, I said just by liking and reviewing, but they wanted to like support the podcast. They said people have a thing where they support, and I know people have like Patreon, but I don't know what I would do as a Patreon. Anyway, they was it? Sorry, I think it wasn't Natalie or Natalia or Natasha. I'm so sorry. This is so bad now. I'll check. They messaged me anyway about I think it's called Ko-fi or Coffee. It's Ko-fi. Anyway, people do that to support stuff. You can like support. People say artists, but I don't really want to say that. If you want to do this, there's no reason for you to have to do this. I just set it up because they asked me to. Then they were very nice at supporting the podcast. If you want to support the podcast, if you're enjoying it, I think you can do like the idea is like buy me a coffee and it's like £3 or something. You don't have to do that, but someone set it up and they said I should mention it. So I'll just put it in the description of the podcasts, and it's there if you want to click the link. Otherwise, don't. Just leave a review. That's really nice. Thank you. But yes, they also asked about Patreon, but I just don't know what it would be. It would sort of be me doing this again. But I did think then, what if I did something different? If there's anything else you think that you'd like for this to move into. It could be that we do live ones, as in live online, and we sit on Zoom or something and have a cup of tea together and we have a chat. Or it could be that I quite like the idea of the people on YouTube who like play a game and just talk you through it as they're doing it. Like a flight simulator. If I just had a chat while I just flew a plane. I mean, ultimately, that's the dream. What a dream career. Not even a real pilot. Just me flying a plane from my own house while just talking to people. God. I loved Flight Simulator when I was younger. You just sit there and just you pick the route, anything you wanted. You could just go. I think I used to do across Europe a lot because the dream was always, we fly from London to New York, but that's mainly just sea. So, you just go over to like Rome. So you're flying into Rome, and coming out of Heathrow is cool because it's where I fly out from. So you'd see all the things and recognise, and just flying a plane. And I had the cool sort of gear stick. You sort of like. You could do smaller planes as well, so you could sort of really, as you just turn it a little bit to the left, the plane starts to veer over. But then doing that with a big 747, God, that was cool. I once saw a guy doing it on the plane we were on. Started a plane and he had his laptop, and he was doing a flight simulator of the flight we were doing. But obviously he sped it up because otherwise he would have had to do it for the full 8 hours. But he sped it up, and he did the journey we did. Which was very cool. But I feel like when you're doing that, you want to sort of sit at the back. Otherwise, everyone behind you can see what you're doing and everyone's keeping an eye on it. There is no film more enticing than the one that somebody is watching, like in front and across from you on a plane. You can just sit there not hearing a word of it and sound like I was crying then about the idea. So I need to cough and just have a sip. Sound like I was really emotional about the idea of watching this silent film. But there's something really therapeutic about just sitting there watching someone watch a film, and then you can't hear any of it, but it's so strangely captivating. I don't know why. I like doing that. And then you get to play the game where you guess what the film is, and then you watch it. But I will say this, speaking of film, somebody commented about Lonesome Dove. I've mentioned, I think, before that I'm reading Lonesome Dove. Pardon me, excuse me, sorry. And they said that it's the best film adaptation they've ever seen. So I was excited because I like reading something and then going to watch the film of it to see how it was done. Sorry, I was, when you're ill and you sort of, what's the word? I don't know. Congestion or something. I felt like I had to swallow and I couldn't quite do it. Anyway, what was I saying? Lonesome Dove. So they commented to say that it was the best adaptation they've seen. I think they said film, so I looked it up, but I don't think there was a film. So, sorry. I think it's a a TV series, but you could watch it as a film, but that would be 6 hours and 14 minutes long. Or they said 6 hours bang on, depending on the edit. Anyway, I will do that when I'm done. I will watch the series. Even better, really, get more into it. Isn't it crazy how much things have changed now, where film stars, it was all about films, and that's where the biggest stars were, and that's the thing everyone needed to see. And now, how it's changed that now, really, you want, I imagine a lot of big actors would want like a TV series. Like, people probably want to get cast in like White Lotus, or like Kate Winslet, film star, but then she's doing, was it Mayor of Easttown? And that's the one that people, I guess you get to, it's all everyone talks about. I love the idea of like a mini series where everyone's talking about this. And if something's on Netflix now, especially if you do it once a week, go back to the once a week thing. For one, it teaches everybody how to remain patient, and you can't just have everything now. But also, is this the right word? Tactically? I don't know if that's the right word I'm trying to use, but if you make a 6 or 10 part series and you release it every week, what you then get is people are talking about it, but you have enough time to catch up. So say by week 7 of this 10 part series, someone talks about it, and then someone else says, I'm watching that, it's incredible. You then have a week to watch 7 episodes, so you can enjoy the rest of it with everyone else. So it means people will talk. Otherwise, if something comes out, all of it in one go, people watch it over a weekend sometimes. So people have stopped talking about it by Wednesday. You want something that's going to get dropped, or at least drop it in parts. Who am I talking to here? Don't know, just executive producers and people who own Netflix, I guess. But do that. It's better. People get to talk about it more. And then it's the thing. It brings everyone together. That everyone's now talking about this series that everyone needs to watch. I just think that's better. And it does make everyone, I think, more patient and more together. White Lotus does that every Monday. You got White Lotus, then you've got a week to catch up as well. You've got a week to watch it. Everyone's talking about it. I would love to be in White Lotus. I like, they've done 3 series so far, and I didn't actually watch series 2, but series 1 and 3 I loved because it's more remote. I like it when they're more remote and like a place to sort of aspire to go and stay in. And it just seems so much more luxurious and so maybe a bit more escapist because it's like remote. Yeah, I like that. But I'd love to be in it. That's probably the big thing at the minute, isn't it? Because there would have been a time where there were certain films that probably everybody wanted to be cast in. I don't even know what that would be. But White Lotus now for actors to go, oh, I've been cast in that. I imagine it's tough going, but because it's a long time. Well, I say tough going. I regret that because I saw people. The reason I said that is because I saw people say it can be quite tough because you're away from home for so long. And I'm like, you are in the nicest places on earth. So think. So I didn't think then. And I said that. It wouldn't be tough going. I'd have a lovely time. The only worry with me being on a show like that is they're usually hot, and I would get progressively more sunburn throughout the series. And although that might be good for a character arc, not the best character arc, but for like, it would look real. If they ever had to go back and shoot something else, I would be bright red on day 2. Although I probably would be anyway. I need to take another sip. The other night I was awake. I went to bed. It was the day I started to feel ill. And I went to bed at about 11, which for me is early. I thought this is good because I'm feeling a bit run down. You know when you can just feel a bit like thick of throat? Not is that what people say? I sounded like Eye of Newt, like I'm doing a witch potion recipe. That stuff they're putting into the cauldron. Thick of throat, and but my throat felt thick. Not that easy to say actually. my throat felt thick. And I knew something was happening. My body started to feel a bit weak. Anyway, I took some precautionary medication, went to bed. I thought, this is good. I'm doing everything right. I even ate raw ginger. I don't know if that's good for you or not, but I ate it. Woke up at 1:30 in the morning and was awake until 5:30 for no reason whatsoever. Awake for 4 hours. I got up eventually. I think I was awake from 1:30. At about 1:30, I thought, well, I'm not sleeping. I don't feel tired, so I'm going to get up. So I got up, tried to watch something, but my brain couldn't and didn't want to concentrate on anything. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll start listening to an audiobook. Just something that I can just have on. So last week, or was it the week before, I started talking about the fact that I've never read Harry Potter. I've got a few behind me on the bookshelf, but I've not read them. So I thought, maybe, what if I do it as an audiobook? But I didn't know. And I did actually think about you listening. Because I thought, if I started that and then people responded and said, no, don't do that, just read the books, trust me, I'd be annoyed that I'd already started and got into it. So, with Harry Potter, because I've never done it, and I'm reading a lot, I've got a long list of books I want to get through this year. So I don't know if I have time to do the Harry Potter books. I imagine some of them are quite quick. Should I actually read them, or is that one I should do as an audiobook? Now, I did start to listen to one. I think they've redone them recently. And it's sort of not an audiobook because someone is reading them, but there's sounds happening in the background. So if somebody's walking down the street, you can hear the sounds of cars going past. And sometimes there's even dialogue where somebody says something like, oh, which way are you going? But that's sort of done by a different, not, an audiobook would just be one person just reading it for you. Perfect. This other thing is a new thing. It was like someone would walk past and go, oh, which way are you going? Like, it would be, I was like, well, is that actually in the book? Or is that just them trying to give like ambience and realism to the story? I couldn't tell. And it was, somebody would go into a shop and you'd hear the bell ding. And I'm like, that's not an audiobook. This is like a audio play. Something else completely. So I then went back and realised Stephen Fry, he did the originals. So if I am to do it, I would do the Stephen Fry ones. But should I or should I not? This is where you can comment. This is YouTube, Spotify. Let me know whether that's a good or bad idea. And then I'll decide. Because in the end, I was going through Audible. This is now, 3:00 in the morning. And The Odyssey came up. Now, Christopher Nolan's making The Odyssey this year, and I've never read it. It's not in the school curriculum in the UK. It's big in America. Tried listening to that, had absolutely no idea what was going on. It's because it's in the school curriculum, I thought it would be like just normal, like written normally, but then I discovered it's written in like strange, what's the word I want to use here? Syntax. I feel like one of them is a brand of something and one of them is a way people talk. I'm going to have to Google that, sorry. Syntax. Let me Google syntax. Syntax. Oh yeah, syntax is right. The arrangement of words and phrases. So yeah, it was weird. And what's syntax? Microsoft Syntax, an AI-powered service within the Microsoft 365 that automates content. That doesn't matter, does it? It's not what I thought it was. I thought syntax was going to be some, if I'm honest, a tampon. Anyway, I couldn't listen to that. I had no idea what they were talking about. I'll just wait for the film. landed on another film that's coming out this year. Now, I will say this, with audiobooks, in the past, I've only listened to ones that are like memoirs or autobiographies, because it's just the person telling you the story. It sort of makes sense that would be an audiobook. Al Pacino's one was incredible. It's just like, I would listen to it in the car, and it was like he was just next to me in the car telling me about his life, so it was perfect. Another film coming out this year is Project Hail Mary with Ryan Gosling. And that's first person. So I realise another rule for me could be, this is dependent on whether I do Harry Potter as an audiobook or not. If you listen to fiction that is first person, because it's similar to a memoir, and someone is just talking to you. And then Project Hail Mary, which is it starts with a guy who just wakes up, has no idea who he is or where he is, and it's all his thoughts, and it jumps back to him living his life in, it's not a spoiler because it's quite early on, you realise it's like you just see a scene from his life. He just talks you through the fact that he's in a cafe in San Francisco. He doesn't like to make breakfast, so he has eggs there, and he shouldn't do because he couldn't afford it really on a teacher's wage. Sorry, I just sniffed. And then it comes back to where he is now. He's like, okay, I'm a teacher. I live in San Francisco. And then he starts thinking about stuff. But because he's thinking in like metric, he's like, oh, okay, I must be from America or the UK. And so anyway, because it's first person, it works great as an audiobook. The problem is now, it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was so into the story that I couldn't sleep. So I wanted to find a good balance of a book that I was interested to listen to, that you could actually listen to, and they were using the right syntax. I've now forgot which one it is. How can I remember this? Syntax. Okay. Anyway, so not the Odyssey, not Harry Potter, because I wasn't sure. I wanted to wait until you let me know whether that was good to do or not. And then Project Hail Mary was too good. Recommend it. And then when I Googled it I went on Reddit just to see what people thought about it. So many people were commenting to say the audiobook's incredible. So I've made the right choice there. So yeah. God, sorry. What happened was last week I asked, is an hour too long for this? You were all very nice and said, keep it an hour. It's great. But when you were answering that, you hadn't listened to me doing an episode where I'm ill. So if this one is a bit shorter, it's because my concentration is really dipping in and out. But because I paused it, I can see now I've done 26 minutes or so. And I think before I did 16. So actually, that's pretty good, isn't it? Because that's 42 minutes. So somebody said, in fact, I think the last episode was 53 minutes long, and somebody said that is their exact commute. So I'll keep going for a few more minutes just for you, if you like. I actually, oh God, I think I'm due something. You know, paracetamol and ibuprofen. You sort of take one of them every 2 hours. So you're supposed to take paracetamol every 4 hours, and then the ibuprofen every 4 hours. So you split it up. So every 2 hours you're getting a nice bump of feeling a little bit normal. And how far away am I? I'm quite far away. I took paracetamol just before I started this, so I thought it would see me through the episode, but I can feel when it's dwindling. So that's what's happening here. I think I am just going to watch something guilt-free after this, because this feels like I've done something. Not that it feels like work, but it feels productive. So I'll just go and watch something. I've been watching Malcolm in the Middle. Did I mention that? So good. I'm trying to get through the whole thing before the reunion in April. But actually, I don't know if I do want to rush it, but everything would make sense a lot more if, everything would make, I imagine you get all the in-jokes more if there's any sort of mention to like, cats ate her face, stuff like that. You'd want to get the joke. But there's a big year for I can tell my brain is, I'm so sorry. It's because, hopefully it's because I'm ill that my brain stopped working. Oh my giddy God. I'm ill. This is the sign. It's not the running nose or the cough or the low energy. It's my brain just going, nope. What's it when a show comes back? I don't know. That's how much my brain, I wouldn't even know what to Google. But anyway, Malcolm in the Middle and Scrubs are coming back. So it's a big year for that. But people do love nostalgia. They must realise people just love nostalgia. I do. Today, in fact, on YouTube, I was just watching old video games I used to play because I don't have the energy to play a video game. Because I'm ill, not in general. So I just sat and watched it on YouTube. Just watched the game play out. And just got like a nostalgia hit. But that's it really, isn't it? It's like when you are ill, people revert back to Disney films or something like that. It's comfort. I guess you know what's coming as well. Like Lion King would be a great one to watch. 1994 was such a good year for film. So many came out in that year. I wonder at the time if everyone was talking about that. Were they all going, "God, this is a good year for film, isn't it?" Were cinemas going, "We are cashing in." Mind you, this year looks pretty good. I wish I went to the cinema more. When I was younger, there was some pass they had. You could do it one summer where if you paid a certain amount, you got to just see free unlimited films. And I remember trying to convince my mum and dad to let me have it. And they kept saying no. But I was sure it was a good deal. Anyway, they then realised, I think they thought I was saying it was something like, I can't remember the deal. What was the cinema? But it was ridiculously good. So I was confused they were saying no. I think it was something like $19.99 or something like that. That you could watch unlimited films for the month. But I think, or maybe even it was like over summer. But I think they thought it was that a week or something. And I told them it's just that. That's all it was. And then I remember that my mum realised, oh, that is actually a good deal. Because I think I said, if I go to 3 films over summer, we save money. And that's when my mum realised what it was. And so me and my friends would do, but the films weren't great that year. Maybe that's why they did the plan, thinking people aren't going to come and see this unless they paid in advance. And then I got, this is a few years ago, I got one of the Odeon passes. So you just paid a monthly thing and you could go and see films. But what happened there is I ended up going when I didn't really want to, just because I paid for it. I like the idea of going more, but it takes a lot now to actually go and, something that's, I guess that's the thing that I was talking about earlier. TV's so good now that the entertainment available to you right there on your own sofa with a cup of tea, it's so much cheaper than, it's not even the money, is it? It's just if I go to the cinema, I am basically trying to recreate my home situation. You want a comfy seat, got that. For me, I'd like a good cup of tea. It's basically for the popcorn if you're going to have popcorn. That's sort of, you might as well go in on the way home from work and just pick up a good popcorn and then take it home. But I do like the idea, actually. There's something magic about the cinema. So I already disagree with myself. There are cinemas now, like the cool ones, like the Everyman and the Picture House, and they are trying to recreate your living room, where they do actually give you a sofa. But it is because you can't be on your phone. I went to a cinema. There's a good one in, is it Selfridges in London? Good cinema there. But I think everyone in there was obnoxious because people were just openly on their phone. And I felt like it was families that maybe that were on holiday that had realised that, this is apparently a good cinema to go to. So I'll be honest, it was the dads. I looked around and I could just see sort of dad energy with their families, just sort of scrolling on the phone while the family watched a film. I remember I worked in a cinema. I worked in an Odeon in Maidenhead. And this guy coming in one day, and God, he was so unlikable. He was there with it was just him and his children. And it's almost like he was trying to show off to me that he had money. Because he just said, he kept sort of doing the dismissive arm thing. Hands, just, get whatever you want, get it, whatever. And then to me, he just went, and I'll have do you have champagne? Champagne? No, what are you talking about? It's the Odeon. Obviously, I didn't say that to him. I just went, no, we don't. We've got probably had some wine or something. I don't know, but I don't think anybody ever ordered it. Champagne. And I just went, no. And he went, oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that. I remember it being like, oh, okay. Like we were in the wrong because the Odeon wasn't selling champagne and popcorn. That was one where I worked there. I loved working at the cinema. Really did. And I remember stood on my own one day. And I would buy the bit that people would come through to check you take the tickets. But because that's not always busy, that bit, because people, even when they go into the film, they could be quite slow. But also, and this was at the bit at the front before you enter where all the screens are. So that bit, the films are nice and staggered anyway, so it doesn't get crazy busy. And I was just stood there on my own. And I don't think I realised there was a lady sat down to my right. And she just said, oh, is that what you're having for lunch? And I said, sorry? And then I realised what I'd thought about. And I said, did I say that out loud? And she went, yeah. And I was just in a daydream. And out of nowhere, I thought this was in my head. But I just went, da, 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 jam sandwich. Which was what was happening in my brain. I didn't realise I was saying it out loud. And she was very nice. She just said, is that your lunch? And then I realised that's what happened. On the Odeon, if you work there, under your name on your badge, you put your favourite film. That's a good one for people to comment. Let me know. What would yours be under your name badge? Yes, please, let me know. Mine was Stand By Me, which some people didn't know the film. And I remember one girl just stood there. And I remember thinking, is this a bad joke or were you just not smart? But she went, oh, you're bad to Stand By Me. She must have been making a terrible joke. And I was like, no, that's a film. She went, oh, right, yeah, she must have been. I remember thinking, what is this a bad joke or are you not smart? What is it? And this is coming from someone who just went, jam sandwich. Anyway, I think it's clear that either the medication is wearing off or has really kicked in. Because I've got no idea what I'm talking about, if I'm honest. As I said, next week I'm skiing, so I don't go until next Saturday. So this will come out Monday. I'll go Saturday. So I will record one more episode this week. Well, not one more episode. The plan is, this has been so nice and so well received, I guess. Am I allowed to say that about my own project? But I was just going to do it every week for a year and just sort of check in with everybody. But it's been so nice that, we'll see. Anyway, I'll of course record one this week to come out next Monday. Then, because I'm going to be away for the week, usually, and what will happen is, because I've got quite a few places I'm travelling to and around over the next year, I'll just take this away with me and I'll do it from wherever I am. But because I'm with a group and we're all staying in a chalet, I don't know how much privacy I'll have. So I'll think of something, a way to do it anyway, because I'd like to be able to just travel around and keep going and record from wherever I am. But if there's any reason that I can't, I'll come up with something. What I was thinking is, so when I first started, the idea of Sip Happens was initially I was going to do this as a chat show, and I released a few episodes where I had someone over and we just spoke about stuff that was and wasn't their cup of tea. in the end, I got bored because it's a lot of admin and people coming over to your house anyways. Annoying. So the people were always very nice. Everyone studied, just to be clear. I've got a load of episodes that never came out. Episodes that never came out. So I could do a mix where it's me chatting for a little bit and then those episodes were only about 20 minutes. So you could listen to me and then I will put one of those out as part of it. Would you like that or not? If not, I would rather it just stuck to me and then it's like a bonus thing I can do. Maybe that's the Patreon. Anyway, I will try and keep this going. I'd like that. I'm going to go now and sort of just lay down and I think sleep. And then I honestly believe I could put this episode out and I could listen back to it and I would not remember a single thing I've said. I'm in that sort of level of my brain just, I don't even know. I can't even finish that sentence. It's just, if this is the first one, I promise this is because I'm ill. I'm a little bit all over the place, but I'll be better next week. I think so anyway. I'm not ill that's like, some people get ill when they are, although I was a bit like this morning, when you're just like, I can't move. I don't know who I am. A bit like the start of Project Hail Mary. He starts like that. He's on a bed. He doesn't know who he is. But I just needed a cup of tea and some paracetamol. But what was I saying? I think there's time to end it, isn't it? Because I am ill. When you're ill, do you ever have this when you're ill? And you think of all the things you'll do when you're better. And you go, oh, when I'm well, I'm going to be out for a run. I'm going to be tidying the house. I'm going to be cooking this meal, doing that. All the stuff you just can't do right now. I'm looking forward to being able to finish a sentence or have a clear thought. Right. I'm going to go. Thanks, as always, for listening. As I say, if you can just review, leave a comment, share it with a friend. Any way that you want to support the podcast is so nice. I genuinely have really been taken aback by the response of how many people have reached out and messaged me about this, and how many people are listening as well from all over the world. I'll go through that next week because I was looking through it the other day, and it's all over the world. It's unbelievable. So I'd actually like somebody to get in touch if you think you're in the most unique place, because there's some countries that I'll go through it next week. Hopefully I'll remember that thought. Anyway, thanks for listening and I'll see you next week. Bye. Oh God, I've just looked at the camera. My goodness, I didn't realize how, I'm ill. I just looked, my hair was a mess and I looked really pale. Anyway, I think we're all looking forward to me being better. Speak to you next week. Bye.